Hello and welcome to NextOppSocial. We are your hosts, Richelle Wright, Joanne Buford, and Nina Payne. We believe entrepreneurship is empowerment, and we are committed to the development and progress of entrepreneurs, providing you with the information you need to build thriving businesses. If you're new here to NextOppSocial, we feature fledgling and established entrepreneurs alike throughout the Detroit metropolitan area. Everyone from multimillionaires, subject matter experts, CEOs, best-selling authors, and some of the brightest minds in business. We cover a wide variety of topics regarding how to make the shift from W-2 to 1099 entrepreneurship, strategies for increasing your productivity, and how to properly structure your launch and your business, how to market more effectively to acquire more clients and keep them, and best business practices to help you grow, scale, and protect your business. If you're smart, industrious, committed to personal and professional development and building financial independence, make sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube or visit our website at NextOppSocial. And today we are very excited to welcome Tisha Hammond, the small business cheerleader. Tisha is an international best-selling author, speaker, small business consultant, and coach, and many other things that we'll get into, to those who crave economic empowerment. So welcome, Tisha. We're very excited to have you here at NextOppSocial, and we'll dive in. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got started with entrepreneurship.
All right, now, thank you for having me, and thank you to the audience who is hopefully going to hear some great news that's motivating and inspiring for them. So I really am a woman who woke up 2014. I realized through some really tough tragedies that I had a purpose that needed to be fulfilled before my time was up. I had encountered that my sister and brother had passed suddenly and tragically 5 weeks apart. And I was in that, that phase of wondering, well, why am I still here? And what do I have to do to live a fulfilling life? Because clearly tomorrow isn't promised. And so I took a deep dive into my areas of happiness and productivity, and realized, the long and short of it is, I realized I needed to turn the chapter in a 21-year career that I spent in federal law enforcement and civil rights advocacy. And so coming through 21 years of federal law enforcement in a civil rights advocacy role, I wasn't willing just to leave all that expertise on the table. I was able to transition from that W-2 salary, just like you mentioned, to that unlimited income opportunity. Is what I train people to do today. And I left an employer, turned around and made them my customer in business because I didn't want to leave my expertise on the table. So some of what I do is federal contract work. It pays the bills. It's incredibly lucrative when assignments and work comes in. However, what I'm incredibly passionate about is helping others influence their own personal economies through entrepreneurship. And so I have developed a course in an academy that essentially says, hey, let me tell you what I wish I'd known. I studied business in college, but that doesn't mean I was ready to jump into business for myself. And I'm probably one of those people who kind of like jumped off the cliff and built the plane on the way down before it crashed in business. I made a lot of mistakes in my opening years in business, and I don't call them failures, but they were really big. They were really big mistakes. I did learn some really humongous lessons and learn them quickly. So, with that muscle memory, I'm trying to encourage others not to make those same mistakes. Let's get into business and transition in a smart way. I'm here to help, and so is a global pep squad that supports me.
I love it. I love it. Something I just took from what you shared was, oftentimes you hear people talk about the idea of transition from W-2 to 1099. They say you should burn the bridges, right? Well, you did the exact opposite.
Created a new bridge.
I love it. I love it. And, like I said, there's this misnomer that you have to cut off all ties with your previous life and start doing something totally different altogether. And instead, it seems like all you continue to do was inculcate the relationships that you had already had taking place and going on and have been successful with. Talk a little bit about that, because I know that's one of those lessons that people oftentimes, like I said, there's a lot of a lot of misgivings about what's required to make that transition. What did that look like for you? Especially the idea of taking on your employer as your customer.
Yeah, so what that looked like for me is creating communities long before I started my own company. So I started my company in 2015, following those tragedies that I spoke about in 2014. Well, the day that I called my supervisor and told her that would be my last day, I also said, you have been good to me and I have been excellent to you. I've been excellent. And we cried together on the phone. I didn't want to go the way that I left. I left because of a few reasons. I needed to be a caregiver. I needed to close that chapter of my life and start a new one. I still needed money and income at the same time, and I wasn't stupid. So I had a great relationship with this supervisor and manager with an entire agency and an entire department of the government. And I was in a position, equal employment opportunity, that sadly is needed every day in the workforce. I knew that. I was one of the reasons why I stay in the industry is because there's a need and I have solutions to those needs. But what that bridge looked like, instead of burning the bridge, was me building communities. And so I got to know people that worked in similar industries and other agencies as well, in county and municipal and state work, as well as federal work. And so I didn't have anything bad to say about my employer. I wasn't leaving on terrible terms. I was leaving on my terms. And so I came back around and I knew to talk about procurement. And I knew some buzzwords. I knew to talk about government contracting and supplier diversity. I knew that my business needed to be certified through some third-party agency or through the Small Business Administration, so I could do business with the federal government. And I also knew that as a brand new business, I might not have past performance that was favorable to be picked up as a prime contractor. So I started meeting prime contractors who worked in the same industry and field and introducing myself to them, pitching my business to them so that I could do subcontract work along the way. So when I talk about building this sense of community, started with my supervisor, started with my peers. As my peers began to leave, I began to offer them positions as 1099 workers through my business. And that has been the goal. Like there are some incredibly bright and brilliant people who do the same work that I do. I don't have to do all the work. I can find a community of people who would love to be subcontractors like I have been. And so there's no bad feelings, no reason to burn a bridge. It's all about communication and networking. And that has been a helpful business model.
I'm going to jump in here. I have so many questions because you hit on the federal contracting world, which is we can do a whole 10-week series on that alone. But you said a nugget earlier when you first started out, and it was about you've been good to me, but I've been excellent to you. And what that said to me is some things that I talk to my mentees about, and that is having confidence in what you do, confidence in your ability, understanding your worth. Talk to the listeners about how important that is, and even how to find that if you're unsure. Like, you were already there, right? Because you had done so many things. Did you do things along the way in your 20 years? Did you understand that concept prior to going into business? Talk to listeners about that.
So somewhere in the early 2000s, I wanted to start a different business. My pastime is roller skating, and I wanted to open a roller skating rink before I became a mother. In fact, that was my exit strategy, was to open a roller skating rink so I didn't have to send my daughter to daycare. She could just come to work with me at the rink. Okay, well, I was in my first marriage seeking, I suppose, validation or permission from my first husband to open the roller skating rink. And I never got it. I never got it. And I allowed that dream to fall by the wayside for a very long time. And so after kind of resenting him, he probably didn't even know it, resenting him and really resenting myself for not believing in my own dream on my own without the support of family or friends to back it up. I realized the second time around, if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna do it for me. So this second time around, when I launched a business, it was for me, something that would have staying power and lasting power. I had to have skin in the game myself. So as I was leading up to my exit strategy from this career in the federal government that I really did thoroughly enjoy, I got a lot of mentoring along the way. And sometimes when people mentor you, they don't even know it. You're just being mentored by observation. I've heard someone say that Oprah mentored her. And I was like, you know Oprah? She was like, no, but I watch the show all the time and I learned. And I was like, okay, I've never thought about it that way. But I had plenty of mentors that I really knew who were sewing into me and telling me things like, there is no limit. Like the sky is not even the limit. There is no limit. And I would see posts on LinkedIn that would, say things like, we raise our daughters to be polite. Well, why aren't we raising them to be assertive? And, just things like that. And people just sewing into me about, Tisha, you were called to be in business. Tisha, your business is clearly your ministry. This is how you share good news. And I began to believe them because it's not like I believed in everything that I was planning to do, right? It helped to have people shore me up along the way, those that wanted to and believed in what I was doing. But that whole, you've been good to me, I've been excellent to you, that's really because I understand who I am. I understand that when I go to work, it wasn't to collect a paycheck. I was trying to solve people's problems that were causing some people to want to commit suicide, causing some people to, get knots in their stomach at the idea of coming into work, being around a supervisor they thought hated them. I was trying to solve real life problems that mattered to people. And I was great at it. I'm still great at it. It is truly a field that I'm supposed to be in, which is why I couldn't easily walk away from it. So yes, I'm a business development consultant. And yes, I'm a storytelling coach. Yes, I write grants for other businesses. I'm a marketing and media influencer, but I still have a passion for solving real life problems. And so I continue to do the equal employment opportunity, anti-discrimination work because it's so necessary. And I know that I'm great at it. I can feel it. I could tell by the results that I see.
So, Tisha, I remember there was an NEA meeting and you and I had corresponded. Yes, we had corresponded previously, but then I saw you get up and speak during the NEA meeting. I said to myself, why is it that more people don't know about her? What is going on? You had brought so much energy and so much perspective. I sat back and I watched the audience gravitate and just get sucked in to your energy. And I said, I gotta meet her. I gotta have a conversation, find out what's going on, right? And so you have this axiom that's out there in business: if you build it, people will come. Well, we know the 21st century doesn't work like that, okay? You can have the best service, best product, whatever the case may be. If you're not marketing and promoting, they're not coming, right? And I remember the initial conversation we had about Facebook and about LinkedIn, and you getting in the driver's seat and saying, look, you have to let people know you exist. And Tisha, I watched this transformation take place. I mean, it's like you jumped into it 2 feet first. It took off like a rocket. I said, look at her swag. Like she went from, I don't want to do this, I'm uncomfortable, to just grabbing the bull by the horns. And I watched you take off. How did you go from novice, maybe trepidation, consternation about it, to, you know what, I got this and I'm about to make it happen? Walk us through that process. People have so much consternation and fear about social media and how to employ it. How did you get over that?
So Jawan is right. He knew me in the days when I could not stand the thought of posting on Facebook. I just shunned this. He knew me in the days when I might have had 20 LinkedIn connections, who knows. So let's see what happened. Well, one, my family needed to eat. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I left a 6-figure salary to be into business for myself. I left the luxury of a paycheck every 2 weeks. Now, when you're used to getting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, at least every 2 weeks, I mean, that's what you're used to, right? And so I didn't get into business to do it as a hobby. I went into business because I thought I could exceed my W-2 limited salary. And so, I mean, social media is just, I wouldn't say it's free marketing because it costs my time, which is incredibly valuable. It costs my team's time, or the employees that I hire, it costs their time to help us send the message out that people want to hear and know about and draw them to us. So what happened? Well, what happened is LinkedIn happened. When I understood that LinkedIn is better than Bitcoin, is better than gold to me, when people started bringing LinkedIn to real life for me, and then I got an understanding, okay, this person is on LinkedIn, they're also on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. I started branching off a little bit more and expanding where my reach was. But I got to tell you, it was really my SCORE mentor who kind of kicked me into gear. And so, SCORE mentors are typically retired. My mentor is probably 25, 30 years older than me. And he said, Tisha, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but he was like, Tisha, you're missing 100% of the shots you don't take on Facebook. And I battled him with justifying why I don't need to be on Facebook. And then, so his name is Charlie Long. I believe he's from the Annapolis. Ooh, that was a Maryland reference. The Ann Arbor SCORE chapter. But then a sister of mine from the National Association of Women Business Owners, her name is Courtney Larvadain. She's the CEO, president at Glow Social Media. I was telling her about my consternation over Facebook in particular. And she was like, who cares what social media's, platforms you like, Tisha? She was just like straight up, who cares what you like? You have to find people where they are. Everybody that needs to hear from you isn't on LinkedIn. I mean, she just was straight up just real about it. And it was in the way she said it, like, so what? Who are you? People need to know who you are. You got to go where they are. I just appreciated her candor. I mean, I'm in law enforcement, so I like direct, straight to the point communication. I don't like to beat around the bush. I can do small talk, but just not very long and not very well. And the way she came at me was like, clearly nobody loves you enough to have told you this so far, so let me tell you. And I took it and I was like, okay. And I started getting out there. But really, Joannis, when people started bringing LinkedIn to real life, you called me. You wanted to have a conversation with me. And I remember the first couple times that we tried to have a conversation, it might not have worked out for both of our schedules, but we didn't stop trying. And then we saw each other in person, and like those kind of things really cemented the need for me to really understand it doesn't matter where I want to be on social media. And thank goodness with technology can post for me in the platforms that I might not directly engage in all of the time. And that's been helpful.
I love it.
Good nuggets. As I think a lot of times, a lot of the people that I deal with, I think I had to get over that hump as well. And because I think just coming from a generation where things were private, I come from a generation, or I started my business within entertainment, and entertainment was an area where you didn't share your artist's information or anything that you were doing. I mean, that would be cause for dismissal. If I'm managing an artist or I'm on tour, the last thing that you're going to do is take pictures and tell the world what's going on. So I think it's a generational thing as well, like in just from, what happens in our house stays in our house kind of concept. And then now we had, turning the leaf over, and now, deciding what you're going to share and what you're not going to share. And people buy from people and not from, they want a relationship with you. And so that is valuable information about go where the people are. You got to go where the people are.
Yeah. And if I can give my husband some credit, my husband, Ken Hammond, is an incredible motivator to me. We have entirely different approaches to business. He's a professional photographer, KM Photo Creations, LLC. He'd been on Instagram and Facebook before I was. And like just seeing him, my husband is an introvert. He only talks when it's absolutely necessary. He doesn't do small talk, but he speaks through his pictures. And I would watch just all of these incredible things that were happening for him because of Instagram and Facebook. And I realized this is a way to communicate. And so he really, without saying it, just watching his feeds and the engagement he was getting was really encouraging to me, particularly on Facebook. That's where I had my biggest, heartburn about exposing anything about my personal or professional life. Because to me, they're almost one and the same. There's not a lot of distinction for me between the two.
So you mentioned, social media is one of them, right? Marketing is one of them, of a challenge that you had to kind of work through to put yourself out there to get to where you needed to go. But you did mention too a little earlier that you've had some other challenges in business as well too, that you had, and I think nobody here is going to be able to shy away from, we've learned things the hard way, right? As well. But what some of those other challenges that you're willing to share with us that you've been through, and I think also more importantly, your approaches to working through them and not making them again, right, as well.
Well, if we're going to be absolutely honest with the world, just not valuing my own time, not charging a price and a rate that was commensurate with my expertise. Thinking that my client and my customer couldn't make an investment in himself to pay for my entire rate. And so me lowballing myself. And it showed in the first few years of business, it absolutely showed. My friend Renee M. Beavers, she says that free is not a good business model, right? And so we've had this conversation a couple of times. I love to hear her say that because I believe it. I didn't get into business to be an enthusiastic hobbyist. I got into business because it takes money and cash and currency to impact communities and global communities the way that I am trying to do that. So really just not charging what my value would be. And I want to tell you two stories. The first is Mimi Brown. She's the director of a bureau of speakers here in Metro Detroit. And she told me, because I was real adamant about wanting to be like a world-renowned speaker about economic empowerment. I wasn't getting a lot of paid speaking gigs. And I was talking to her about this. And she was like, Tisha, next time the conversation is all warmed up and someone asks you what your rate is, how about you just say the rate and shut up? Now, I've been blessed to have a lot of women in my life just be real direct with me about that. She was like, just say your rate and shut up. And I actually did it the very next time. It happened the next day, actually. Somebody asked me what my rate was for a particular service. It wasn't speaking in this instance, but it was a particular consulting service. And I said the price. She had already known what I'd done. We're like in our third conversation. I said the price and I just went silent. And I listened for my value in her response. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. When can we schedule it? And inside, like I had to put the phone on mute. I was like, oh my God. Why didn't I do this earlier? I was so excited. I had to put the phone on mute and like do a praise dance. So I shut up. I said my rate, I shut up and I listened for my value in the response. Okay, not everybody can be my client and I can't be everybody's cheerleader. And that's just reality. The second story is I changed my rates once I began to value myself accordingly. I changed my rates, and someone who I had previously sent like an estimate out to, a quote of what my services would cost 1 year, contacted me a following year, and my price was different. And her immediate response to this new price was, "Why is your price so much different than last year?" And I told her that I sent out updates for my price list to paying customers, but she wasn't a paying customer, so she didn't get it. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And I felt really good in that moment, because being a paying customer, a return customer, someone who's incentivized to come back and back again, you get a little bit of different communication than if we haven't, exchanged services or bartered, or you've invested in yourself through me or me through you. So those are two examples that come to mind about finances. And through the pandemic, the 2020 was my best year in business so far. By leaps and bounds.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to keep hearing, for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
So you made the transition. You shared some of the hiccups or maybe some of the limiting beliefs that you experienced, right? But you're a business coach. So I know you have entree and see some of everything out there, right? And I know people have these preconceived notions about how to become a viable speaker or how to become viable in anything that you do. And there's a steady theme that runs through everything that you share. And that's, you are about finding solutions for people, right? You're about solving problems. And I think that's at the very heart of the value proposition you bring to the table, right? And I think a lot of people miss that, particularly when they decide, I want to be a public speaker. I think they think it's all about the accoutrements of success and how to speak, how to talk, how to move, all these other tools that people use to make them, to give themselves this veneer, right? What are some of the other mistakes you've seen people make who decide, I want to embark in public speaking? I want to get out here and put myself in front of the world and either make an impact or make a name for themselves?
I think that sometimes business owners are just way too modest. I would love if all of my clients gave me a testimonial that I could flash around the world and on my splash reels and stuff like that. But if I waited for that, I would never get it. So I encourage my clients to drop the modesty. And I'm not saying be conceited or obnoxious, because that's just ugly. However, if you are an expert and an authority in your brand and in your message, we should know that. We should feel it. I should be able to feel it. I should be able to see it. You should feel comfortable saying it. So Dr. Lisa Wicker was the first to teach me about like brand authority. And she was the first to teach me that, don't focus on your potential, focus on your capacity, and continue to take in knowledge, continue to seek knowledge so you can continue to pour it out into people. So one of the things that I steadily tell my clients is, let's drop the modesty right now. I mean, it's hard for me to market a modest person. I want to market a bold person. I want to market an authority. I want to take that person to the media and find them an interview on TV. And it's great. I know there are some speakers, it's okay to be meek. It's okay to be who you are. Not everybody is high energy. And that's okay. Be who you genuinely are. But there's a difference in being modest, waiting for somebody to highlight you or spotlight you. In this world where everybody's attention is so limited, I mean, you got to do something that's going to capture attention. So it doesn't mean be outrageous, but hire somebody who can help you, get the exposure and the visibility you need if you have to. It's okay to be assertive and not so modest when you're in business and when you're a speaker. But it's also important to be you. Don't try to be someone else's speaking style if it's not genuinely yours, because we'll see it, and it might have an impact on how we relate to you. The whole goal is to resonate with somebody in the audience, right? Make the stories relatable.
I love it. What are some of the things that you think people misconstrue or misunderstand about the work that you do and about the industry in general?
I think a lot of people don't know what I do. And so, which is why I'll be making some announcements on June 11th. Because I must say, it is pretty cool that I get the question a lot. Tisha, what is the small business cheerleader? What do you do? I get that question a lot. But sometimes getting that question a lot tells me I need to add more clarity to what it is. So some people misconstrue that most of what I do happens to be a live stream called Pep Talk Live with Tisha Hammond. It's a show that's powered by Dell Technologies. We stream a few times a week on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. And so I think a lot of people believe that like most of my time and energy is spent on the live show, which is where we elevate the conversation around entrepreneurship for entrepreneurs around the world. But that would not be true. So I do spend a fair amount of time there. However, it is part of my business. It is something that is monetized, that I've learned to monetize. And where I really spend a lot of work is in those federal contract assignments behind the scenes, things I can't share with people. So people also, I'm hoping people remember I've had a long career in law enforcement. I can't tell everything that I know. I'm a storyteller, but there's some stories I can't tell. However, I spend a lot of time writing stories that I can tell. So a lot of clients hire me to write content. I have an entire content bank that is constantly growing for myself and for clients. And I'm loving just repurposing and renewing and ripping audio out of, I have a vodcast. I don't call it a podcast. It's visual and it's audio. I can rip the audio whenever I want, put in 8 different platforms. I write one story, cut it up across, 7 other platforms. I enjoy that kind of stuff behind the scenes. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much I write, how much I edit, how much I proof for others, how much I spin content in ways people haven't heard it before. And that I don't put that kind of stuff on social media as much as I might be able to.
I like it. I like it. Nina, you're muted.
I'm trying not to cough on camera. But I was wanted to ask you about your motivation. And you talked about starting your business and wanting to have a never-ending number when it comes to the money that you can acquire by being an entrepreneur. You talked about your family needing to eat. You talked about this not being a hobby. What keeps you going, like in the dark times, in the times where it seems overwhelming, or the times that clients are getting on your nerves, or any of those things? What are some things that you can share that keep you motivated?
And all of those things happen. Everything you said, it really does happen that way sometimes. So my why, what keeps me going, is not that I need money. When I created my exit strategy from the federal government, along with my husband, we made sure our lifestyle wouldn't change, because that 6-figure salary is gone, but we haven't missed a meal. We go wherever we want to in the world, and we made decisions around our money years ago so that I could step away from that 6-figure salary and do what I needed to do in this season of my life and career. The people that keep me going are not here in this world yet. So I started this business because I want to have a legacy. And right now I have 5 children, 7 grandchildren. I do this for my grandchildren's grandchildren. My husband and I won't even meet them, but they're going to know the names Ken and Tisha Hammond, and they're going to know that we have created a legacy for them to pick up and carry along, that we have principles that our family lives by and that work well if they want to live by them too. So I haven't met the people that I'm trying to impact the most. I may never meet them. I'm planting seeds in the ground that someone's going to water by the time they get here, and trusting that we'll leave guidance for them to garden and harvest this thing that we are creating. Both my husband and I are business owners. And we have watched, since I went into business, y'all, if I could talk about what I'm most proud about. Since I launched my business, my husband opened a business. Our children have become entrepreneurs. My mother published a book in December after I published my book in 2020. I am proud of those kind of things. I'm also proud of my clients who have made that transition from working from someone else to transitioning into self-employment and now hiring their own boards of directors and their own employees. I'm happy and proud about those things, but honestly, I look forward to the day where, someone tells me, one of my great grandchildren, opened a business, wrote a best-selling book, did something to benefit and serve some other community along the way. I don't do this for me solely. Yeah, I have milestones and achievements that I'm going to make, that I have hit, that I want and I'm striving to make and complete. But that's not why I do it. I do it for little people, 20, 30 years from now, maybe.
Wow.
So I want to piggyback off a
Mm.
question that Nina just asked you, right? Because you pull so many different wells. And one of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs make is you got this theme that's out here that I'm gonna pull myself up by my bootstraps. I don't need anyone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When the reality of the matter is that can be the farthest thing from the truth. You have people who are pouring into you, right? But for the entrepreneurs who, quite frankly, just haven't grown up on the right side of the tracks, maybe they haven't developed the relationships you've developed at this stage of your life. What books, wells, resources would you recommend they turn to? And then I have another question because you're triggering some things I listen to you, right? I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine who relocated from Detroit to California, and she's now back reestablishing herself. And we spent a lot of time talking about this ideal of self-concept, right? Self-concept. And sometimes one of the unique challenges of working within the Detroit metropolitan area is people oftentimes don't see things as big as they can be, right? They're so busy looking at the corner of the table and fighting over that little crumb that's sitting on the corner, they don't see that the entire table is there, right? And I listen to you and I hear that clear as day, that you're like, look, I'm not about to fight over sitting at the table. I'm going to bring the table, right? I'm hearing that. I mean, you're bringing the table, you're setting the terms. So I know I just asked you like two questions in one, but whichever one resonated with you the most, or both.
I'll try to answer both. You asked about books, people, resources, and things like that.
Mhm.
And one of the first lines in my book, which is Daily Devotional for Entrepreneurs, Your Season to Grow, the foreword is written by Dennis Kimbrough, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. One of the first lines in my book says, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My book, my daily devotional is based on the Bible. I think the Bible is a great business book. So if you're looking for resources and you want to read the Bible, I think you'll find plenty right there. The second book, I mean, this question is so timely, Jawan. I was going through the Shatter the Limits Masterclass, Dr. Lisa Wicker. She gave us some reading assignments, and one of the books was Peaks and Valleys by Spencer Johnson, MD. Spencer Johnson, MD wrote Who Moved My Cheese, which I read in 9th grade and enjoyed it and promptly forgot about it until I read Peaks and Valleys. I read Peaks and Valleys and saw myself in almost every page of that book. And it was almost like I couldn't hold water. I had to tell everybody I knew about this book. And I would love to meet Spencer Johnson, MD, if he's available for meetings and greetings. This book transformed my business, my world. It transformed my thought process. So those are some resources that I think of for reading. Now, people resources, I gotta say, Jawan Buford is an incredible matchmaker to business resources. And I'm not trying to butter you up. I've known you for years. And I have watched you as you've watched me. And I've been connected to others through you. and you happen to know a lot of information and you talk a lot of good talk, but you walk the talk as well. So I would encourage people to reach out to you, Juwan. Um, I think you have some fine details that they need to know about as well. Now, the second part or the second question, I don't remember how you stated it exactly, but I remember talking about like bringing the table, right? And doing things on your terms. So that's pretty important to me. I mentioned earlier that everybody can't be my client and I can't be everybody's cheerleader. It was important for me, if I'm going to leave the comfort and security of an employer, it's important for me to do some stuff on my terms. Yes, I have to have flexibility. I have to meet my clients where they are. So sometimes I'm working at 9 o'clock at night because my client is 5 hours, behind me in a different time zone. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with setting boundaries and then loosening them up sometimes on my calendar if it meets a client's need. But yes, I am that person that believes if the door is closed and locked and I don't have the key and no one's opening it for me, I'm not going to keep standing there and banging on it. I'm just going to construct a new door. I'm also the person that believes in this Albert Einstein quote. I believe he says that a clever man solves a problem, but a wise man avoids the problem. I like that. I don't want to run into problems if I don't have to, but if I do, I'm going to do my best to solve them. And I find that I don't have to solve them on my own. There are people out there with entirely different sets of capabilities and interests that I have that, we can work together to do things. And that's what it's about for me. It's about community building for me. I'm happy to refer clients to other business consultants. Everybody is not for me. Everybody's money is not money I can accept. Let me tell you, I've had to give back some money because something in their spirit wasn't working with my spirit. And I don't care how much money was on the table. You can have it back because you can't own me. You can't be in that much control over what I'm doing because you have, promised me some amount of money for a service I'm going to give. I hope you find another person who could give a compatible service that you might be more compatible with. That took a long time to get to that revelation too, that not everybody's money I can take.
All money's not good money.
It's not if it's going to weigh me down and burden me and cause me to lose sleep, or if am I supposed to be associated with you? Is this the kind of business I want to be aligned with? So there are some businesses I just don't do business with. Some business industries I don't do business with, but I happily refer to consultants and coaches who do. I'm not trying to hold anybody back. There's enough, I say there's enough peak for everybody. There's room for everybody on the peak. Let's help everybody get there.
So you said there are business industries that you don't do business with. Do you mind sharing what those are?
Oh, I'm happy to share. So currently the cannabis industry, I'm not going to do anyone with that industry. And it's not making a judgment on the industry. It's just not an industry that I am going to directly work in. In the adult entertainment industry, just not an industry I'm going to directly work in. I know consultants and coaches who would thrive there. I'm happy to make that match.
Love that.
So something else that caught my attention, right? You talked about on one hand, having to go where your clients are or go where the people are, right? And meet them where you need to meet them. But there's also this these principles that run clear as day. Like I remember our conversations vividly. Like I remember feeling like there's this dichotomy. Like there's this Tisha that smiles and that it's just full of energy and inspires people. You just glow, right? But then there's this sternness, and it's not like meanness, but you're grounded, right? You know what you're about, right? And I find that oftentimes entrepreneurs have a hard time I don't want to say straddling the line, because when you do it right, you're not straddling the line. You just know who you are, you know what you're about, you know the type of work you're trying to do. And sometimes it's not a matter of going where people are at. It's just standing in your space, doing you, and looking for the crowd that is about you, right? That resonates with you, that wants what you have. But it's a process in terms of getting there, right? And I know enough about your story. I know the line that you stand on has always been there, right? But how have you been able to manage both, right? What's your process? What are some of the questions, I guess, that go through your mind when everyone has this compass, right? What's the compass about? What questions are you asking to kind of decide, I'm gonna work with this person, I'm not, I feel good about this situation, I'm not, this resonates with me, it doesn't. What are some of the questions you're asking?
Okay, well, first, let me just give a tiny bit of background of where kind of that sternness and straightforwardness comes from. That's my law enforcement days.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember arresting people who would say thank you, because I can have that presence and treat you with dignity. That's what a lot of people see. It's still that law enforcement side of me. I can't shake it. I don't want to shake it. I love the training and experience I had. I love the person that it made me in many ways. So for instance, the people that I really question, can I do business with? Can I be their small business cheerleader? The questions that are going through my mind are, can I stand next to you in a picture that's going to go out on social media? Can I be seen with you in public? Can I proudly tell people that I am your consultant and you are my client? Would people wonder why we're doing business together based on the person that I am? Those are some things that run through my mind, and it's only happened maybe 3 times in 6 years where I've had those questions, and sometimes the people have actually given me money. They've either paid for a service or are paying for a service that's about to start. And look, if I miss 2 minutes of sleep over somebody, we can't work together. If it's gonna cut into my sleepy time, like if it's keeping me awake, or I'm having to ask other people questions, like doing background research on people, that's too much for me. So those are things that would make me be like, I need to tell you something right now, and we can't go any further than this. It's been something working with you so far. Here's what I think should happen next. And because I'm a consultant, people tend to take what I say at face value. I'm not always, in every service that I provide, I'm not a coach, where a coach pulls something out of you and you do it your way. No, I'm a consultant. People come to me because they want answers. They want, how can I do this and do it right this time? They just want the straightforward. So that's what I give people. And even in those kind of conversations, I'm pretty straightforward, because I don't like to waste people's time. So I just get in there real quick, say what's important to say it with tact. I was taught to be diplomatic. I'm naturally polite, so I'm not rude. However, I am very straightforward when it comes to their money and to mine.
So as we get towards the end, we always wrap up with a couple of the same questions we make sure we get from everybody. And the first one is, what is your superpower?
Ooh, this smile. This smile is my supervisor. You catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. I learned that in law enforcement. My smile is very genuine. And y'all, I got a crooked smile. I have crooked lips. But when I crack these lips to smile, it is not fake. And it's just the comments and the feedback that I get from this smile. They create a response that is called the mighty whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. When I do that, well, I can set the world on fire with that whoop whoop. But it's that smile and what I call the mighty whoop whoop. That's the superpower.
That's amazing.
What's the mighty
I can
whoop
feel
whoop
it.
again? I missed it. What's the mighty
The
whoop?
mighty whoop whoop is actually saying whoop whoop. And when I do the whoop whoop, You gotta watch the show Pep Talk Live with Tisha Hammond. When I say do the mighty whoop whoop, people from all different continents start chiming in with their whoop whoop exclamation points. I'm the small business cheerleader, so it's part of the cheer, it's part of the chant, and it sets a room on fire.
Nice. Whoop whoop.
Hey.
I like it.
So you gave us tons of amazing nuggets, and it's again this is gonna be one of those episodes that we need to go back, take more notes as well. But if you could leave our listening audience with one very important lesson that at the very least they take away, what would that be?
Be blessed, be encouraged, and mind your business.
Just like that.
Just like that.
That's it.
That's it. I agree.
How's your business?
So Tisha, how can people learn more about you, your business, what so they can join in on the woot woots?
Right, that's right. So one point of contact information where you'll get all the headline stories and all access to my rewards-based community, to my website. Find me on Linktree, linktr.ee/Tisha Hammond, and you'll find everything you need to know about me and how to contact me.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Tisha, again for joining us here today. For those of you listening, we are going to provide that link below, her Linktree, so that you don't even have to search for it. It'll be right there. And you can learn more about her and reach out to her as well. We're definitely going to continue this conversation inside the NextOppSocial After Show group on Facebook. We invite you to join us there as well. The link is in that description too. Or you can head to Facebook and go to our NextOppSocial page, click community, and we'll be happy to have you inside. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube or visit our website at nextoppsocial.com to learn more about everything that we do. We look forward to helping you achieve a life of satisfaction and success. Thank you again, Tisha. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tisha.